Joining me now, Congressman Mike Gallagher. He sits on the Armed Services Committee and is a former Marine. He served 7 years active duty as an intelligence officer. Great to have you with us, Congressman Gallagher. Thank you for being here. What's your assessment of what you just heard from the Pentagon and the State Department with regard to 8,500 U.S. troops at the ready if NATO decides to activate their response force?
Well, I think we're hearing conflicting signals because we've also heard reports that we are preparing our embassy for evacuation. So the same team that bungled the evacuation in Afghanistan may get another shot to do the same in Ukraine. We're a year into the Biden administration, and you can literally measure our global retreat by the number of embassies we're evacuating. And how many more do we need to evacuate before we realize that his foreign policy isn't working? Point one. Point two, we know now that we are relying on the Russians to act as an intermediary with our negotiations with Iran over their nuclear program. So no wonder we are projecting weakness to Russia while we're asking the Russians to tender offers to the Iranians where we bribe them to revive the failed JCPOA. And finally, I would say this administration has delayed in providing assistance to Ukraine. It has projected indecisiveness internationally. And now they're reviving another bad Obama idea, which is this so-called hashtag diplomacy. You have our Secretary of State tweeting, "I hashtag stand with Ukraine." At the same time, the president is effectively greenlighting a minor incursion into Ukraine from the Russians. So I fear all of this adds up to a very permissive environment for Vladimir Putin, and the situation is about to get much worse.
Yeah, I mean, actions speak louder than words, as we all well know. And this is a tweet that was sent out by then candidate Biden in February of 2020. And he said, "Vladimir Putin doesn't want me to be president. He doesn't want me to be our nominee. If you're wondering why, it's because I'm the only person in this field who has ever gone toe-to-toe with him." And I would just point out that, you know, this was during a period where there were all kinds of investigations and concerns about President Trump and was he colluding with Russia? I mean, when you look at what he provided to Ukraine, it looks like a far different scenario than we're in right now. And Vladimir Putin didn't set foot in, he didn't push it to the extent that he is now, I should say, with regards to what's going on in Ukraine.
Of course, the irony and tragedy is for 4 years we were fed this narrative that the Trump administration was a puppet of Russia. But I would tell you there are a bunch of dead Russian mercenaries in eastern Syria that would beg to disagree with that assessment, because when push came to shove, we actually stood up to Russia. And the lesson is, of course, that peace through strength works. When America instead projects weakness and not strength, we open up a vacuum, and into that vacuum flow America's enemies. And it's not just Ukraine we're talking about. We're talking about a looming crisis over Taiwan. Of course, General Secretary Xi Jinping is sitting there right now thinking, you know what? Given how weak America looks, I could probably get away with an invasion of Taiwan. If the worst I'm going to suffer is a mean hashtag from Jen Psaki, I'm going to go for it.
Yeah, and with regard to the exercises that we're seeing in China, the military exercises, and the huge auto deal that Germany has with China, it's unlikely that they would be coming to anyone's aid in that situation either. So their loyalties are becoming very much in question. Mike Gallagher, thank you very much, Congressman and veteran. Good to see you, sir. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
So Pentagon spokesman